Okay, so 1.4 number 61 has a wall of text.
Yeah, that is true.
It says I can type 4 pages in 50 minutes. So 4 pages goes with 50 minutes. Right? Then it also says 9 pages goes with an hour and 40 minutes,
100 minutes.
which is 100 minutes. Cool? So why did I do that? Like, why did I convert to...
So you can all the same units.
Yeah, because if you take 50 minutes and subtract an hour and 40 minutes, you get something incomprehensible out. You guys see that?
Yeah.
Like, it's easier to just convert everything to the same units. That gets worse when you're doing physics problems. And so if you're doing physics problems or engineering problems, just start by converting everything to metric and just leave it that way.
See.
Okay? All right. So, find a linear function for the number of pages type p as a function of time. Okay. Cool. If time is measured in minutes, what values of t make sense? Okay, so which one's which, just to get my head on straight here?
Minutes are...
The t's, right? The minutes, or the,
T
are
is
they
a
this
function.
one or that one?
T is a function of minutes, is that what it is?
So it says
time is a...
p as a function of time.
Alright, so P is y. P is your y.
P is y.
P is your y, that's your output, and
T is x.
t is your x.
T is generally x.
Yeah, and time is usually an input kind of thing.
'Cause there's no-
When in doubt, put time on the input axis. That'll be, yeah, that'll be a rule that'll work for
most things.
the vast majority of problems. All right, so what should I be looking for here?
Those are points.
Yeah, these are 2 points, right?
So just...
Well, these are points, but they're written,
Reversed.
yeah, they're written backwards.
Yeah.
You guys see that?
Yeah.
So it might actually be a good idea to kind of flip that, right? I'm not going to just because. So what should I be looking for here? For a slope, right? We go in a line,
So
right?
you want to do change over y, or change over P over change over T.
Okay, and the slope of this line looks like a change in P per change in T. That seems like a good thing to note. So what's your change in P?
Change in P is 5 pages.
It's 5 pages, right? We went up 5 pages.
Yeah.
What was our change in T?
50 minutes.
50 minutes.
Was 50 minutes.
4.1 is the slope.
Okay, and so my change in P per change in T is,
Circle.
It's 550, which is 110, which is 0.1.
I'm going to leave it as 1 and 10 because I want to explore the units. What are the units?
Pages per 10 minutes, 1 page per 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's 1 page per 10 minutes. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, where do I get my equation for my line here?
Point slope.
Yeah, go to point slope form. So P of T is
M, which is
the
1.
same problem. Is that what you're saying?
No.
It is the same problem.
It is the same problem.
It's just worded.
Yeah, it's just worded differently, right? But it's basically the same problem. You find the slope, and then you cram the slope and one of your points into point slope form. Yeah. So what was your slope? 1 and 10.
110.
And then what goes in here?
X minus x1, so just easy.
Yeah,
T.
so an input, right, T, minus one of the inputs you know about. So what's one of the inputs you know about?
50.
50. And then you add
4.
one of the outputs you know about. Did I really just say that?
You did.
You did.
Cool, what did I say that was idiotic?
You said one of the points, the outputs that we know about, but it needs to be the output that's paired with the input we used.
Nice, very good, Caroline. You guys catch that? Probably the camera didn't, so I'll say it again. Well, I'll say it the right way. This thing that I'm adding needs to be an output, specifically the output that goes with the input that you put right here.
Right.
right? Not just any of the input, not any of the outputs, but the output that goes with that input. Because otherwise you're calibrating your line with the wrong point. You guys see that? Like, this is a point on the line, well, backwards. But this pair is not a point on the line. Cool. All right, so, good?
Back of the book doesn't have that answer, but I think it has it in my,
It has it written in y equals mx plus b?
no, the decimal, the 0.1,
Oh, yeah, sure.
same thing, but just,
Okay. Okay, and then they ask, if t is measured in minutes, which values of t make sense? Yeah, probably only positive times make sense, right? Yeah. Well, minutes. Like 30 seconds makes sense, right?
I guess so, but
You're not going to write much in that time.
But you could,
Yeah.
write something.
But you will write something, right?
not 0.
You will write half of a tenth of a page,
But not
Right.
0 though. because-
which is not nothing, at least. And maybe 0 is a little bit weird, right? What do you get if you plug 0 into this thing?
For T?
Yeah.
You can
T, you get negative 1 page.
Falls apart.
What is that about?
That means like someone, that means like, I don't even know how to interpret
It's
that.
like when you press the delete button and you hold it for too long and it deletes the whole page.
It's like by the time you,
That would be a way of thinking. I think maybe a
Typing backwards?
preferable way of thinking is it takes you some time to get the thing set up. You guys see that? Like, it takes you a little while to like get the computer turned on, get your cup of coffee, and sit down and like get the program open. That's like that. You're gonna burn 5 minutes or whatever. Like, you're gonna burn some time,
that's really funny.
like just getting the idea going. You guys all do this thing where you start a paper and you just sit there and stare at a blank screen too? Like, that's part of that.
No.
Right. No.
It's always immediate.
Zach has-
Jump into genius.
Zach has no staring at screens. He just like,
Yeah.
yeah, actually, one of the things they tell you for like starting papers is that you should just have some block of text that you just put in so the screen's not blank.
Yeah.
Personally, I think it's a terrible idea. But whatever.
It's very terrible.
Okay, so we probably should say something like, I would say t has to be bigger than or equal to 0 at least for this to make sense.
Yeah.
You guys cool with that? You could argue that t has to be at least, what,
One.
maybe 10 minutes,
10, yeah.
right? Because 10 is where you start with 0 pages, right?
Wow.
Okay, how many pages can be typed in 2 hours?
So just
So 120 minutes.
Perfect. Take p of 120.
Right. So 12
Right.
minutes, so 11 pages.
So that would be
11 pages.
1/10 times 70 plus 4 gives you, seems like 11 pages. Okay, part C. Interpret the slope of the function in practical terms. Oh, I think I kind of already did that.
Yeah.
Right, that's like, it takes 10 minutes to type a page.
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, part D. Use the result to solve for time as a function of the number of pages typed. Does that make sense that you could do that?
Right, reverse.
Yeah, they just want you to reverse the dependence.
Okay.
You guys see that? Like, instead of thinking of pages as a function of time, you might think of time as a function of pages. Like, if I know that this is how I operate, right? Like, 1 page every 10 minutes and I start behind a page. If I have a 12-page paper to write,
Mhm.
How long?
how long should I allot? You guys see that? So to do that, what do you do? Okay, actually figure that out.
So if you were to type 12 pages and you know you type 10 minutes a page,
But you start behind a page, remember?
but you start behind the page.
Yeah.
Okay. So 9
Yeah, so I think you should get, right, t as a function of p should be 10 minutes per page plus,
1.
no, I screwed up, I haven't finished writing,
Let's count.
plus 10. Okay, where could you get that without thinking all the way through that business?
Just like with reverse.
Go up here. This guy tells you that p is t over 10 minus 1, right?
Yeah.
So you could add 1 to both sides, get you p plus 1 is t over 10, and then multiply by 10.
Makes sense.
So you get 10p plus 10 equals t. Right, and really you're kind of now thinking that t as a function of p.
Okay.
You guys on board with that?
Yes.
Okay.
Kind of? That's finding the inverse function. You guys all see that?
Yeah.
Like I have a function that takes times and turns it into pages. I would like the opposite of that. So p goes this way, takes time and makes pages. So I want to find that one. And the way I can do that is you can just solve the formula, and as long as you don't run into anything you can't reverse, then you'll be okay.
Oh, so you basically just solve the formula without the numbers that you would, like 50 and 4, you just don't.
Yeah, like I already calibrated this, so this is my formula.
Right.
So all I did was multiply it out a little bit, I got this, and then I just solved this for t.
Yeah.
You guys cool with that? And that's really how you calculate it. Cool? Questions? Okay. All right. Then E. How long does it take to type a 15-page paper? So you could do this in one of two ways. You could do this as a solve problem or as an evaluate problem. If you're going to do it as a solve problem, which function do you want? Yeah, wait,
P of t. That's a
the
solve
P of t.
Yeah, you want P of t.
Right, as a solve problem, you would put that in for a pages and then solve for the time. If you want to do it as evaluate, plug it into the T of P function. Right?
That's easy.
And that's much easier because it's
All multiplication.
160 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay. Next, F. Write a short paragraph explaining why it's useful to know both the formulas obtained in part A and in part B. I feel like I've got that someplace in this. You guys cool?
Yeah.
Questions, Steels? How long would it take you to write the short paragraph?
How long, how much of a page? is there in a short
We're
paragraph?
actually half a page.
Good.
Half
A third of a
is
page.
short.
Third of
Especially handwritten.
It depends.
It's like a quarter of a page.
So
a
I
quarter of a page is a short paragraph.
so I feel like the minimum for a paragraph is 3 sentences, right?
Wow.
To
So
follow
you
a
need
paragraph
a-
structure, you need an introductory paragraph, a content paragraph, and a conclusion paragraph. Sorry,
Sentence.
sentence,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So probably 3 sentences. They can be short,
Right. So you can probably have like.
right? So I feel like you probably cram this into 4 lines, maybe 3.
Yes, I can.
It's a dumb paragraph, but I don't actually care, right? This is an English 1A.